Hail to the Redskin!
All right. Hey, it's Redskin Report time with Trevor Matich. The Redskin Report is brought to you by Fork Union Military Academy. It was great. You know, we had Thursday night football. We're so excited. You know, the Redskins coming off that big victory last week, and it's a Thursday night game, and it's in prime time. We're all excited until the game actually started, and the final score 32-21. And let me just say to you folks, that score is not as indicative of how bad it really is.
It wasn't that close.
It wasn't that close. Well, Trevor, what the heck went wrong?
Well, the same thing that went wrong in the first game when they lost against Miami. They did a lot of good things, but they basically had self-inflicted issues. They missed opportunities, and the Giants, as well as they played, I don't give that much credit to the Giants. I take credit away from the Redskins. All
right. It seemed to me the running game, which had been so successful last week, was shut down pretty effectively.
Well, it wasn't effective, and that's the word. If you look at the numbers, they averaged 4.5 yards a carry. That's pretty good. But they were only able to run the ball 20 times in this game. They threw it a lot more than they ran it. They threw it 49. And part of the reason, though, is that the Giants' defense came into this game thinking that they were going to stop the run. They blitzed a lot anyway. They did a lot of run blitzes that caused trouble for the run. And it was up to the passing game to pick up the slack. And so, you know, a couple of problems. The left guard, Sean Laval, went out relatively early in the game. The guys that tried to replace him, two different guys, didn't do very good. But ultimately, the passing game has to take advantage of the opportunities presented when a defense loads up to stop the run, and the passing game failed.
And you know, if I may, because I find the Redskins report so instructive here, Trevor Matich, not just your postgame analysis, but yesterday, this is exactly what you said, that the Giants defense is going to look to shut down the run. That's the book on the Redskins going in, try to shut down the run, and then it's going to be up to Kirk Cousins and the passing game to then step up. They didn't step up. I mean,
they didn't. And look, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No,
Larry.
go ahead. You can take it.
Look at some of the missed opportunities that they had, though. In their opening drive, they threw a pass down the sideline, the right sideline, to running back Chris Thompson for a big gain, big momentum, got a first down. They can get some play calling rhythm going, but it was called back. Why was it called back? Because tight end Jordan Reed was called for a penalty on the play. Well, a couple of plays later is when that first punt occurred where it was blocked out of the back of the end zone for a safety. So they go from having momentum in the ball near midfield to having a punt blocked, basically because a penalty squandered the opportunity that the big play had. Later in the game, they've got Jordan Reed open down the left sideline for a potential touchdown. He's got to step on his man, but the ball's underthrown. That's another, self-inflicted missed opportunity. And then near the end of the game, they had Andre Roberts had the ball in his hands for what would have been a touchdown down in the red zone. He dropped the ball. A couple of plays later, Matt Jones fumbles the ball into the end zone and threw it for a touchback for the Giants. So right there, you've got three opportunities that the Giants didn't really affect. The Redskins self-destructed.
All right, and of course we have to talk about, the quarterback, Kirk Cousins, who had 2 interceptions. Jay Gruden was asked about this, and unbelievably, here's the question that was asked of Jay Gruden: what did you think about putting in Colt McCoy?
Oh my gosh,
well, that's too much for a lot of quarterbacks. There's only a handful, and I don't even know how many there are that can overcome a lead like that on the road in a big division game. But we just have to keep working at it.
He said no. There's no quarterback controversy here.
No, although I did think that late in that game he should have put in Colt McCoy because it wasn't working. It just wasn't working. Now, the thing about Kirk Cousins, though, is that he kind of flipped the script on what normally happens when he struggles. Normally, he'll do well early in the game and then struggle in the fourth quarter when they have to come back. And that's when he throws his interceptions. In this game, he threw his interceptions earlier, and then in the fourth quarter, he was magnificent.
Yeah, he was coming back
so
strong,
right? For a glass half full, that's a good thing.
Right.
But I got to take issue with that, Trevor. I mean, yes, it wasn't working. And guess what? That happens sometimes. I mean, sometimes, Tom Brady has a bad game. Sometimes Peyton Manning has a bad game. Sometimes things aren't working. the problem with the idea that, okay, things aren't working with Kirk Cousins, so maybe we put in Colt McCoy, this town goes nutso with the quarterback controversies. If he had done that, and let's say he had a solid, 10 minutes and they still lost the game, you know what the story would be today. Oh, we got to pull Kirk Cousins and make Colt McCoy the starting quarterback now. Don't you just stick with this guy even if he's got a bad game, even if it's not working?
Yeah, and Larry, you and Brian would have eloquent, pithy, hilarious commentary about that. You would have contributed mightily to it if that would have happened.
Who,
but
me?
I would have stood by. You listen, you stick with your starter until it's a disaster. That wasn't a disaster last night, was it?
Well, it was early on. It was early on because they were just, it just wasn't working. But here's the thing, though. This is the way you've got to see it. Not what will the public think about it, but rather what's the best way to win this game right now. And think of a pitcher. You can have a great starting pitcher who has a bad outing. Now, what do? Do you pitch him for 9 innings anyway, even though he's getting shelled? No. You pull him. You put in somebody from the bullpen. He has a seat. And then he starts to get in next in his rotation. He's good to go. You don't bench him. But that happens once in a while to the best of starting pitchers.
Yeah.
And it happens to quarterbacks. And right now, Kirk Cousins, we don't know enough about him to know how he'll react in situations like this.
All right,
what we do know is that for the first 3 quarters, they weren't performing.
All right. Very quickly, 101-yard kickoff return. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's the first time since 2010 that's happened. So the special teams gave up the momentum in a big play to the Giants early, and they got it back late.
All right. Trevor Matich, and the Redskin Report is brought to you by Fork Union Military Academy. Thank you, Trevor.
Thanks, guys.